Hey guys, Marco the dog trainer here. Today we're going to be doing a really quick video on my favorite long leash for off-leash dog training, which is going to be the HiKiss Long Dog Leashes that I typically have my clients buy on Amazon. Now, there's not a whole bunch to talk about in this video, so we're going to really quickly hit all the points of why I like these leashes so much. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to really quickly touch on retractable leashes versus long leashes, because there's kind of a time and a place for both. So let's get to it. So the first thing that I always think about with any type of equipment that I'm going to be recommending to my clients or to you guys is going to be safety. So I have had hundreds of clients buy these leashes and we have never had any issues. I've never had a leash snap or a buckle break. So I really do feel confident referring these to anybody that's looking for a long leash. Now, safety aside, the probably top compliment I always get from my clients when they're like shopping around for their long leash is how many different colors are available. I think there's 8 different colors, and there's kind of like a color to match every personality out there, you know, black, green, blue, red, pink. We really like the rainbow ones. We're pretty colorful people. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, so they've got a color for everyone out there, okay? Now, aside from that, there's essentially 2 different styles that I typically use. We've got the 3/4 of an inch wide, smaller buckle model. And then we've got a slightly bigger, the 1 inch wide with a bigger, slightly more heavy duty buckle. Now, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to go with the 3/4 of an inch model because most of my clients are buying these to practice off-leash training or coming when called. And if we're trying to train our dogs to behave off-leash, we're trying to get them ready to not feel a leash on them. So the lighter the leash is, the closer it is to being off leash. So that's why like I only use the bigger model if it's like a really big dog. And that's why I don't like the rope type leashes because they're just too heavy. Now, moving on to like the final point is that I really like that there's a lot of different length options with this brand. So we can get 15 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, or 100 feet. And there's kind of a time and a place for all of them. On average, more times than not, I'm probably just going to recommend the 50-foot leash because if your dog's listening from 50 feet away, they're probably pretty good dogs at that point. But I might use like the 15-foot leash if I'm doing more training like in the house and I don't want the leash getting wrapped around furniture and chairs and stuff like that. And then the longer leashes can be really helpful for like coming when called. So if I have a client that has like a really, really big backyard, well, like a big portion of that training is teaching our dogs what we want them to do when we call them. So we kind of need a leash that can stretch all the way from the back door all the way out to the far corner of the yard to really simulate that situation. So the 100-foot leash might work better for some people, just depending on what their yard looks like. And another area I might use the 100-foot leash is if I'm more so just taking a dog out to like a field to hang out and have fun without feeling restricted. Because there's leash laws and things like that, you know, we do have to be careful, and that's why the 100-foot might be a better option in some cases. You know, dogs that we're taking to the beach or, you know, things more like that. Now, the last thing that I said I wanted to talk about in this video, or actually before I wrap up that, real quick, each of these leashes, doesn't matter how long they are, has a loop on the end of it. And again, we've got some heavy duty stitching on the loop and the buckle itself, which is, I'm assuming, why I've never seen any of these rip. And a side note, whether it's 15 feet or 100 feet, these things get knotted up fast. It doesn't matter what type of long leash it is. So I usually recommend to people to go and buy like a cheap extension cord spool. You can usually buy them for like a few bucks at, you know, Walmart. They sell them next to like Christmas lights and things like that. And that can be a really easy way to keep these things from getting tangled because they are not going to stay in these nice discs forever. I guarantee you that. Okay, so that's everything about these. Now, moving on to the last piece, which is the retractable leash versus the long leash. Okay, so generally speaking, I'm always going to start with the long leash first, okay, because these leashes work better for training. One, they're lighter because if you were trying to use a retractable leash, like a lot of times I'll let these leashes just drag around. Where if you were going to do that with a retractable leash, the heavy plastic handle is going to be swinging around, making all sorts of noise. It's going to be pretty heavy. Not going to work super great for like practicing off-leash walking and stuff like that. And then the other limitation of training with a retractable leash is that the longest one I've ever found was 26 feet, where, you know, that's a good start, but I'd like, my gold standard is the dog listens from at least 50 feet away. So that's why, like, I kind of look at the long leashes as the first step, is that we need to train our dog on and off leash first. Because the only way I can ever condone using a retractable leash is if the dog is fully on and off leash trained, knows how to walk without pulling on the leash, and will come when we call them. So the only area I really use a retractable leash is if I'm taking my dogs hiking and I want them to kind of be able to orbit me without dragging a leash through mud and water and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I'll use a retractable leash like to let my dogs go out to go to the bathroom. But generally speaking, those are for dogs that are already trained, and we use the long leashes more for training a dog to be off leash. So that's at least my thought process within my training technique. But outside of that, I think that's pretty much everything you guys need to know. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.